This is the Country Underground Podcast. Shining the light on the up-and-coming stars of country music. Country Underground. Here's your host, R.J. Murphy.
Hey, country music fans. Thanks for checking out this episode of the Country Underground Podcast. It has been a rough week for us this week with the tragic events in Las Vegas, but I want to put that aside for a brief moment and share with you my interview with a fantastic artist from England named Fiona Culley. Fiona and I talked about her experiences in the music industry, both in England and in Nashville, as well as about her new song, Act Like a Lady. As a disclaimer, this interview was recorded prior to the incident at the Route 91 Harvest Festival. Joining me on the phone right now from Nashville is Fiona Culley. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So I discovered your music, actually, because you liked one of my posts from one of my previous episodes. And
there we go.
It's funny, you're the second person that I've discovered that way. And so I started reading your bio and was just like, oh man, I got to talk to her. I got to have her on an episode.
Oh, nice. I love that happens that way.
Yeah.
The powers of social media these days.
Yeah, it's amazing how it can connect people and help you to discover new music.
Yeah, people and things, all the things.
So now you were born and raised in England. Was music always part of your childhood out there?
Yeah, definitely. Music and acting when I was little too. That used to be a passion of mine. But music has always been in my life. My dad plays guitar and sings, not professionally or anything. He's actually just a builder. But he loves music, and that kind of, growing up, that's what got me into country music, because he loved country female artists and that kind of, he loved any big voice. That was his thing. And he was the one that introduced me to country initially, as much as he could from, over in England.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you grew up kind of around some of the female artists. Who would you say are some of your influences?
Well, not necessarily like influences, but people that my dad would play for me would be like country artists, would be like Alison Krauss, Trisha Yearwood, people like that. And obviously they did influence my songwriting, because they are, definitely incredible storytellers. But I feel like influence-wise, kind of, all sorts of different genres of music that my dad was into, from rock to pop to, country, it kind of, all of them collectively, different genres kind of made my influences, really.
Yeah, and you mentioned Trisha Yearwood. That's definitely a favorite of mine, her and Garth both. Yes, amazing. So now how did you wind up in Nashville? What brought you here?
Well, 5 years ago, I signed to a management company that found me in England. And they were like, you're singing country music, but you're in England. Like, you need to be in Nashville. And I was like, well, when are we going? And it was kind of a luck situation. And they ended up moving me to Nashville for 6 months originally. That was the plan, just a 6-month trip. Come to Nashville, check it out, write my music, do my record, and, just get the ball rolling. But, Nashville is a music town, and there's a lot of people trying to do just that. And so when I got here, I realized pretty quickly that I'd have to kind of take a ticket and join the queue, because everyone was also trying to do the same thing. So I've been here now 5 years, which is amazing, because now I consider Nashville my home. And I never thought I'd say that, and for the first 2 years, I lived out of a suitcase, and I just, I was never prepared to call it home, because it's a long way from family. And, I knew that once I made that decision, it would probably be, long term. So, but now I call it home, and I'm very, very happy, because it makes me feel like home. So,
yeah, it's a fantastic city. It's one of my favorites to visit all the time, for sure.
Yeah, I love it. It's brilliant. My family come and visit at least once a year, and they've kind of fallen in love with the place too. I kind of hope my parents would retire and move out here.
Yeah. So now, prior to moving to Nashville, how long were you performing out in England?
Gosh, I've been involved in music in, plenty of different ways. I mean, it wasn't my full-time job. I had a day job for a long time when I was in England. It only became my full-time job when I moved here. I actually was a massage therapist in London for the 5 years before I moved here. So, that's obviously like a completely different industry that now I feel like I've been away from for so long, I don't even think I'd know what to do anymore. but that was my job, and I'm very fortunate that I get to do music as a job. I get to call it my job, and that is, I'm very, very lucky to be able to do that.
What are some of the big differences between the music industry out there in England versus the music industry in Nashville?
Oh my gosh, everything. Nothing is the same. Like there's a much stronger sense of community out here in Nashville than there is in London. Like London is obviously a lot more spread out. Also, country music now is a lot bigger in England than it was when I first moved here 5 years ago. Kind of really flourished, and lots of the country artists from here go and visit England quite a lot, and I love that. That can only benefit me. Like that's just great for country music in general. But yeah, it's completely different, like night and day. You can't even explain. Like nothing's the same. I mean, like for the co-writing, for example, here in Nashville, you co-write. You write your songs with two, sometimes maybe three other people. And before I moved here, songwriting was kind of like, a lot. It was just more you would do it on your own, or you would have, but not the same as it is here. There's a huge songwriting community, which is what British people are coming to visit now, like to play and to write. And I actually met with an English singer-songwriter today. I didn't know her, but a friend of a friend knew her. And whenever there's an English person in town, like new to town, I always go and meet them for coffee. And, because it's a little slice of home for me, but it's also like my way to kind of give back, because people, when I first moved here, kind of took me under their wing. They might not have been English, but they moved to the other side of the world. It's always good to have someone you could call.
Yeah, it's good to be able to help them make that transition to Nashville and the different style of music out there.
Right.
I know you mentioned a lot of the Nashville artists these days are going out to England to play shows. And do you see in the future that happening the other way around? Do you think people from England will start coming out to Nashville to perform more often?
Yeah, I do. I mean, they already are, but Nashville is kind of the home of country music, and it being a huge genre, the industry, I feel like it's kind of small. It's has like a hometown feel, and I feel like in order to be included in country radio and the country music scene here, you have to be a part of its like family. You have to live here. You have to, and I feel like slowly more and more British artists are coming and spending more time here, and there'll hopefully be a bunch of us. So then it won't just be me with people getting confused by my accent.
So you're kind of a pioneer in that aspect.
Yeah, there's like me, and there's another English artist called Lucy Silvers, and
oh yes, I know Lucy.
Every time somebody meets me, they're like, "Oh, you must know Lucy." I'm like, "Well, actually, I do. I actually sang backing vocals for her on a YouTube session." But it's just funny because people are like, "Well, you have the same accent, so you must be friends," which I love. You love that.
Well, it's funny. I think you get a lot of the same thing from people, when artists come and tour out here in California where I'm located and they tell me they're from Nashville, I instantly start thinking, okay, who do I know in Nashville that they might know? Right. Everybody thinks that, don't they? I'm like, and to be fair, 9 times out of 10, you will know the same people. It's a very small town. Oh, yeah. Which is why you don't get musicians in this town. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because I'll always look up somebody on Facebook and we'll always have like 5 friends in common, and it's like, oh, wow. Yep. Yep. So now you had the opportunity recently, actually I think it was last year, to record with a very well-known name in country music, Mr. Darius Rucker. I did. That probably was like the most surreal, insane thing I've ever done. I mean, he's incredible and he's such a huge talent. And yeah, that was probably the best opportunity I've had to date, for sure. Now, what can you What is Darius like? What can you tell us about him that we may not know?
Well, he's so charismatic, and he's so calm. I mean, we were going into the studio to record the duet that we wrote together for this movie, and he's just so calm and collected. And he was just, I mean, there's me stressing out and, worrying about all the things. And he's just like, oh, just make some music. And I'm a huge fan of his. I always have been. Like, he's brilliant. And, to be able to do that with him was like a really huge opportunity for me. So that's probably why I was more nervous than him, because I didn't want to mess it up.
Now, did he approach you about that, or was it the makers of the movie?
It was the makers of the movie, yeah.
Okay.
It was, yeah. But I mean, I doing a duet with an unknown person. I mean, I couldn't believe he said yes.
Yeah. And you've got your brand new single that came out recently called "Act Like a Lady."
Yes, I do, and it's I'm basically coming to the end of my radio tour. In the last 4 months, I've basically been to, at least 100 stations for sure.
Wow.
And visited with them and sang and formed that relationship. And each week it's been added, and I'm still getting ads each week, which is great. And, just kind of make my first date with country radio. That's what I say.
Yeah. I mean, I've read articles about...
Oh, sorry, carry on.
Oh, I was just saying, I've read articles about how grueling radio tours can be. You're just constantly go, 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 go.
Do you know what's funny? I mean, yes, it's grueling, but like everyone was like, oh, you're gonna hate it. Like it's gonna just be really hard and lots of late nights and early mornings. And yeah, there has been a ton of those, but I have to remind people, I'm like, this is like you going to Europe and visiting a new city every day. This is not my country. This is not where I'm from. Like, I basically feel like I've been on a vacation, because every day I wake up in a new place. And, that's it. I think that has taken that pressure of it being like this exhausting, grueling nightmare away from the whole situation. Yes, I'm singing a lot. And yes, I'm tired, and we've all these flights and these early mornings and lots of long car journeys, but I've kind of felt a bit like a tourist at the same time, and I've never been able to afford to travel like this, if it wasn't with work and with my music. So I kind of have put the tiredness aside and not really thought about it. And only in this last week, since I've been home for 1 week straight for the first time in a long time, have I suddenly felt exhausted. It's like I stopped and I'm like, oh, I'm actually really tired. I've actually been, going nonstop for 4 months, and my body's like, Fiona, you need to just chill out for a minute.
And what better way to explore the country than on somebody else's dime?
Well, I know. I don't want to say that, but,
Yeah.
Today, I mean, not that we're not working nonstop, but, this is my dream, and this is, I appreciate how fortunate I am to even be doing this. When I met with an English artist this morning, like I said, and she's just got here and working out what she wants to do and who she's going to do it with and all of this stuff. And I'm like, I'm sat here thinking, well, I'm completely fortunate to have the team that I do, and that my team is growing, and I get to work with these amazing people. So
yeah,
I'm feeling very lucky.
Absolutely. And I want to play your new song here, but tell me a little bit about how it came about. Did you write this song?
I did. I had a hand in this one. Basically, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. It's like my anthem. It's not a man-hating song. It's more just like a woman-empowering song. Anything a man can do, we can do too. And that's kind of my personality, I think, is what the other writers got from me as well. And they're like, I'm ladylike, but I'm also not to be messed with.
Here's Fiona's song, Act Like a Lady.
from a man like you is like a one-way sign on a dead-end road. I swear this is it. The last time I fall for this shady little show of testosterone. I'm better off alone. Crash and burn, love and love. From here on out, here's what I'm gonna do. Act like a lady, think like a man, smile and look pretty, but have a backup plan. Whispering sweet little lies, look him in the eyes, don't let him know where you stand. Act like a lady, think like a man. Stay out with my friends, close down the bar again. I dance with who I want to, and I'll come home when I feel like it. Send flowers to apologize, doesn't that make it all alright? With one foot out the door, in my high heel shoes. Act like a lady, think like a man, smile and look pretty, but have a backup plan. Whispering sweet little lies, look him in the eyes, don't let him know where you stand. Act like a lady, think like a man. Slip on that dress, let him all guess if what they see is true. Figured it out, started right now. Here's what I'm gonna do. Act like a lady, think like a man, smile and look pretty, but have a backup plan. Whispering sweet little lies, look him in the eyes, don't let him know where you stand. Act like a lady, think like a man. Act like a lady, think like a man. Oh yeah, yeah.
Fantastic song there, Fiona.
Thank you very much.
So now, where did you record that one? Was that recorded in Nashville?
That was recorded in Nashville. It's funny, I've recorded that song actually 5 different times, and we never kind of quite felt like we had it right until that last time. Whenever I hear it, it always feels like a new time that I'm hearing it because it's been done in so many different ways.
But I think that's the case with all songs. I think it's always recorded over and over until you got to get it just perfect, because it's out there forever.
Yeah, once it's out there, so you want to like it. Otherwise, and then if it does well, then it really is out there forever.
Yeah. And that's the hope, of course.
Yes, definitely.
Now, is that song going to be on your upcoming EP that's coming out soon?
I have, I say EP. I'm probably just going to have an album out. That would be the idea, because I have so, but I'm not going to be releasing an album until next year. I'm going to release another single early next year, and then go from there.
And now you're working on that new album with Paul Worley, correct?
I am, yes. He is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, he's got quite the resume in the music world. Grammy-winning producer. He's worked with Lady Antebellum, discovered the Dixie Chicks.
Martina McBride, Big and Rich. I mean, the list just goes on. He's amazing.
Now,
and the one thing, I met him when I first moved here, and he was like, you sing great, but, you need to live here, and you need to immerse yourself in your market, and you need to just know the town better, and write with people, and know what you want to sound like as an artist. And, he didn't just say, okay, great, yeah, let's just do this. Like, that's not how he works,
So he's really invested in your success then.
Yeah, he really is, and he's kind of become like family. I know his wife and his children really well, and he knows I don't have family here. And so that's kind of, he really has taken under his wing in every way.
What else do you have coming up that people can look forward to?
What is happening? The Rest of Radio tour, and then obviously the EP next year, and hopefully have some tour dates for later on in the fall. But mainly I'm, kind of just preparing for 2018 already, which kind of feels crazy because I feel like, it's only, someone told me the other day it's only until Christmas, which scared the death out of me. I'm like, I'm not ready for another year to be over.
And people can find all of your music on all of your social media pages and on your website, FionaCulley.com, correct?
Yes, they can. Yeah, they can. I mean, mainly Facebook and Instagram are the main ones. I have not even sure if people use websites anymore.
Well, I think they just use it as like a landing point to find all the social media pages.
Yes. It's like that's the go-to. I'm like, I feel like websites will soon be a thing of the past, just as there's like new mediums every day popping up for how you can listen to music and.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for doing this interview with me. And if you ever make it out to the West Coast on tour, I'll definitely be there to check you out.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you once again to Fiona for chatting with me. I can't wait for her full album next year. That wraps up this episode. Be sure to follow this podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. 2 weeks from now, I'll have another great guest for you that you won't want to miss, right here on the Country Underground Podcast.